Overlander. Today again, out of my habitat with the ready done plywood install and not out of my workshop. So the main topic of this video will be the plywood install. I like to get into what material I used, and where I used what material and how I fastened it. So let's start with the floor plywood because that was the first one we have installed. So at the bottom I used phenolic plywood. And phenolic plywood is known as film-faced plywood. That is kind of film at the top, and I believe at the bottom as well. There's a film on it, and the other stuff is almost the same as regular plywood, but the difference is every individual layer is completely soaked by a resin. Gives the plywood an extremely high strength. The second is because of the completely closed surface, top and bottom, this is waterproofed plywood. Also, what the fabricator does, these are all cuts from my cuts, but this is the edge how it comes originally. Also, the cutting edges, they are treated, waterproofed, treated. Yeah, often this plywood get used for concrete forms or something like that because you can pour the concrete right onto it and it separates after the curing process, basically, from the concrete again. Why I use this at the floor? Just imagine you have a broken water line. You have something spilled, you drop a bottle or a glass or something. We will have finished floor, but just to be safe, I don't want any liquid be able to get into the floor. We have a washer beneath the seating area. Let's just think about the worst case, and we have a leakage, and the water runs on the floor, stays there maybe for a little while, and then if you have regular plywood, it sucks it in and swallows up. If you don't realize at the beginning, and you may have mold in there and stuff like that. This all can be prevented by phenolic plywood. And that's why I used 3/4 of an inch phenolic plywood at the bottom, waterproofed. Next, we installed the ceiling because we was planning to put top and bottom on and then squeezed basically the wall plates in it, destabilize the top and the bottom, okay? Or they brace it, let's say, okay? The ceiling plywood is less than 3/8 thick, so 9 millimeter exact, 9 millimeter, and is birch. But in this case, all birch means all the layers are birch plywood or birch wood. So the way we installed it is basically we cut the biscuit slots in there, and then we took the 20 biscuits, put them in there, and then we merged, as you can see here now, like that. We merged the next plate to it, and this doesn't go up or down. It keeps the same height. So basically we have a really smooth, you can see, what can you see? This side. So this is very smooth here. You see here's the seam, but it is the same height. Yes, I did go with a sander slightly over it, but it had a different reason. So you will see that in the video. So yeah, that's how we did it with the biscuits, and we did the biscuits everywhere. We did them at the floor, we did them at the ceiling, and also along the wall seams. So all birch, nice, bright wood. As next and last, we have the wall plywood. And that is 5/8 plywood. Also birch, but it is not all birch. Basically the plywood, I cannot recall what that is, what the wood is in here, but the top layer is birch. That's why it appears as birch plywood, but it isn't all the way through. It's just a top layer. And this one is not pre-finished. It is basically just sanded. It's raw. So you can finish it yourself the way you like it. you paint it, or you stain it, or you wax it like I did. So that's basically it. 3/4 inch phenolic plywood at the bottom, 9 millimeter 5/16 between 5/16 3/8 ceiling plywood, all birch, and 5/8 plywood, birch plywood, like birch faced plywood, you know, for the walls. So yeah, it turned out very well. I'm really happy with the outcome, you know, and yeah, have a look. So first floor plate is down, and we have joint biscuits in there, 4 per length, so that we continue the same floor level with all the plates. Now, sheet number 2 is down, and that's it for today. Tomorrow we put the other 2 in there, and then is the floor done. Nice, I like the progress. Huh? Oh, how you doing? How you doing? So, yeah, I'm happy because my floor is done. You know, it's all it worked out really well. I'm super happy with the result. I got my conduits in here to penetrate the flooring. That's where I have my electrical stuff going up to the panel, right? And then I can take the shortcut right across and come out there, you know, instead of going all the way around and then back. And we have started with the first ceiling plate. There we have a little bit of an issue with our biscuit cutter for the joints, because this is only 9 mil, and the biscuit cutter, you can see it here, it's cutting slope. And we tried to adjust the machine, but it does not work. It's always like that. Always, but this one is too big. But it's always like that. Kind of pisses me off, but there's not really much what I can do. Yeah, so we hope tomorrow we merge the second plate to it, you know, and then we really see what the issue is, or is it an issue? So we will see it. It is so satisfying if this room turns into look like a room after such a long time, you know, and yeah, especially if you build it all from scratch, you know, and it takes shape. It's an awesome feeling. Ceiling done. That's pretty cool. I like it. We just glued the last half sheet in, and now the ceiling is done. Now next we're starting with the back wall, with that one, and then tomorrow we continue with the walls themselves. So the rear wall, we have the lower part with the same phenolic plywood covered, and this is the 5/8 birch plywood. So the first wall plate, basically the rear wall, is done. Now we're putting this one in, you know, beneath the bed basically, and that's it for today. New day. I'm a little excited, that's why I forget to take some video footage, but yeah, we are on the second wall plate, and God, I love it. I love it. We have a little bit of wave in the floor, about 1/8, but if you have wood at the bottom and wood at the top, it's kind of tough to squish it in super tight. Yeah, but I install anyway a finishing angle here on the inside. You know, I'm not really sure what I'm using there, stainless steel, anodized aluminum. We will see. But anyway, it turns out looking very, very good. I love it, really do. Another day, back wall is done, that kitchen side wall is done completely. Let me get back a little, you know, and the bathroom door panorama, and now as you can see, this one is just dry fitted. You know, it's still loose. So I just cut it, I have to install it, and then is just that little piece there around the corner, which we have also here, this one. And then is this wall done as well. And then left is only the two pieces at the front. And I'm done with the plywood. Good progress, good progress. And what follows then is basically I have to take care of the seams. You know, sometimes a little bit, you know, even if you push it together at the install, after it dries, it still appears a little bit as a, it's really not much, but I might fill it with wood filler, you know, and then sand it over. I have to sand the whole surface everywhere anyway before I wax it. So yeah, but I love the progress. It looks good. I mean, the birch plywood is right now raw, right? It's just sanded surface. It's not treated yet. So it will come out a little darker, I guess, even if I don't want to, because my wife and I, we really love the bright type of wood. You know, we would like to preserve it that way, but I think if I wax it or oil it, you know, like then it will come out a little darker. But hey, what are you gonna do? And my plywood installation is done. It's all installed. Ceiling, bottom, walls, backside, you know. But yeah, as you can see, the plywood is all done. I'm super happy. Here is the conduit coming out from the max fan, which goes in here right above the shower. I'm here basically in the shower, you know. So this the end of the conduit is hidden, but as soon as I cut a hole in, it will be exposed again. Yeah. So now as next, I have to, like I said, I have to fill these little voids here, you know, like where I'm not really happy with, you know, but the most of it is anyway covered by cabinets and stuff. So what I'm doing is where the butt joints are from the ceiling plates, from the plywood, there I did a mistake, and B, I have to sand it a little bit because it could be shifted like that, right? So different surfaces. So, and the mistake I did, I will show you before it's all gone. I basically took glue. You see? Oh yeah, you can see it pretty good. You see how dark this is here? A dark seam. And I took wood glue and smeared it into the small tiny gap. You know, when the glue was fresh, it looked like this is closed, but when it dried, it looks terrible. You know, there is glue residue all over the place on the board actually. So don't do that. Don't smear glue into the crack. Probably every wood guy will tell you, you know, but I am not a wood guy. I learn as I go. And what I did instead is I used wood filler in the same color as my plywood is, birch, and applied that into the gaps, and it looks fantastic. You know, look here. This, you can't imagine. I mean, yeah, you see the brighter spot because I sanded just here by hand. But honestly, you can't even see the seam. You know, here, this is filled with wood. Here at the top, you can see, right there. It's a little, I have to sand it a little bit more, but here, it's like, it basically disappears. But one advice, when you do wood filler, I talked to a wood guy, a cabinet guy, and he says, mask or tape off this, along the seam, left and right, like you would do it on a silicone bead, tape it off, and then use wood filler. You see here, this is wood filled. Why? Because wood filler goes also on top of the plywood, goes in there, and after you wax it, oil it, or stain it, you will see where you smeared the wood filler. So tape it, along the seam left and right as close as possible, and then just fill the void, and then sand it after it dried. Now I have sanded all the surfaces, all the butt joints, they're smooth now, and that glue is off. So yeah, I chose this material because the specs say there is no harm to you and your family or your pets if your wood surface is treated with this. And they say apply it thinly. Oh yeah, it gets way more yellowish. But thinly, yes, thinly I can do. Thinly, no problem. It turns pretty yellow. You see? Right there. I would love to keep it as bright as possible, but it turns pretty yellow. I guess there's nothing I can do about it. No, I'm not getting paid by these guys. I bought this all myself. If you're interested in it, I will link it in down below the video. Now, all these surfaces, ceiling and walls are waxed, and the next step will be finishing all these corners, vertical and horizontal. Therefore, I organized myself this 1 by 1 inch aluminum angle, which is clear anodized, or some people say silver anodized, and that one will be applied in all the corners. Let me turn the camera a little bit so you see it better. Right there. So now I will apply that, and then I have basically a finished wall-to-wall connection. And then I'm going to install the window trims on the inside all the way around, also on the panorama window. And then it's almost time to put the windows in. And even if you would think it is maybe better not having any windows in it. We have 34 degrees outside Celsius, and I just poked a thermometer into behind the plywood on the inside of the habitat, and look, it is 30, no, almost 40 degrees Celsius in here. So now quickly about the fastness. Fastness is basically the wrong word, because or let's say the way it is right now, I have not even used a single screw in it. If you follow the channel, if you have seen how I started building this habitat, then I welded all the steel together. I glued on the aluminum sheets. I glued in the insulation, the first layer. I put the second layer on top of it, also with foam glue, and now finally I glued on the plywood. So there's not even one screw in this whole thing here, or a rivet, or you name it, right? Everything is glued. I rely completely on glue. Unfortunately, I threw the cans away when they was empty. I wasn't thinking that I have to show you guys that. But as you may know, I glued all the insulation in here with Agfix 960p, what it called. And I had 3 of these cans with Agfix subfloor, it called. Agfix subfloor. That's how I started installing all the plywood, bottom, ceiling, and then I ran out of it. I had only 3 cans, right? So this one is wrong. This is some multi-purpose. So I had no Agfix anymore. So I needed to come up with some substitute, like with something else. and I was doing my due diligence, and I found a product at Rona. And also at Amazon, they have that too. And this is actually a really good stuff. It's a little pricier than Agfix, that's for sure. You know, but this stuff is not just the name, it's actually really great stuff. You know, I don't want to make too much commercial, you know, because I don't get paid for it and whatever. I mean, this stuff is incredibly good. You know, you can pick it up at Lowe's, at Home Depot. Home Depot, I'm not really sure, but I saw, like I said, I purchased it at Rona, you know, and I saw it on Amazon as well. So if you're interested in it, I will link it at the bottom in the description of the video, so you can find it. This stuff behaves different than the insulation glue actually, because when you spray the insulation, the Agfix 960p I'm talking about, when you apply that onto the insulation and you squish it in and something squeezes out and you cut it off, you can still squish this stuff, you know, like the foam, or yeah, the foam, you can squish it and it goes back in condition, right? So this here, you have a tough time to squish that. That's getting really, really hard, you know, like this is holding like very, very strong. So that's what I'm saying. I have really good experience with that stuff, finishing off all the plywood, and it's not hard to get, so very good. So this is it from me for today, and I hope you could take something with you from that video, you know. And can you see it? Can you read it? So stay tuned, and I see you in the next one.